Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is amazing, it is staggering that the Labour MPs can come here today and welcome an inquiry when they was given the chance. They all voted against one. But these girls, these victims of the Pakistani grooming gangs, they were kidnapped, they were abused, they were drugged, they were raped. And when they reached out for help, everybody ignored them. So there's little wonder they have no faith in the system. But they can regain faith if the Home Secretary agrees with me and appoints Maggie Oliver as chair of the inquiry.
Well, I would say to the honourable member, the child sexual exploitation and abuse in this, and we need to make sure that there is a proper independent inquiry, as well as, most crucially of all, the action by police to take the operations that will bring perpetrators to justice and put them behind bars.
Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has addressed the House of Commons regarding grooming gangs, following Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's U-turn on implementing a full probe. This decision comes after months of resistance and in response to a new damning report by Baroness Louise Casey. Baroness Casey's rapid 3-month audit into the scale of child sexual exploitation in England and Wales has been described as damning by the Home Secretary. Addressing MPs on Monday, Cooper offered an unequivocal apology for the unimaginable pain and suffering of victims and survivors. The report found that suspects were often disproportionately likely to be Asian men, and that the ethnicity of abusers was often shied away from and is still not recorded for 2/3 of perpetrators. In response to the report, Cooper announced that police would launch a new national criminal operation into grooming gangs overseen by the National Crime Agency. She also stated that it would become a formal requirement for the first time to collect both ethnicity and nationality data for all cases. Furthermore, Cooper committed to changing the law to prevent asylum being granted to those who groom children or commit sexual offences. Sir Keir Starmer had previously resisted calls for a national inquiry, at one point suggesting that those advocating for one were jumping on the bandwagon of the far right. However, after reading Baroness Casey's national audit, he changed his stance, stating that he would accept her recommendation for a full statutory inquiry. This inquiry will have the power to compel people to give evidence and will coordinate a series of targeted local investigations. The U-turn has drawn criticism from the opposition, with Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch accusing the Prime Minister of being dragged to the decision and stating he had to be led by the nose to make the correct decision. Despite the political exchanges, the focus remains on delivering justice for victims and implementing the recommendations of Baroness Casey's report to prevent future exploitation.
So will she apologise on behalf of herself, the Labour Party and the Prime Minister for wasting so much time and voting against this, dismissing the concerns of the survivors? The House, the British public, and most importantly, the many brave survivors deserve clear answers from a government of dithering and delay.
What was the answer you gave the top?
Richard Tice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome this statement from the Home Secretary and that there will now be a national inquiry. Does the Home Secretary think that that will be finished within, let's say, 2 years for the British people? And given that she quite rightly apologised to the victims and survivors, will she now apologise on behalf of the Prime Minister who smeared and labelled those of us who called for a national inquiry?
Yeah.
Well, he raises the issue about the timescale for this, and the in the discussions that we have had with Baroness Casey, and also recognising the many issues that people want to raise with an inquiry, we had expected that it might take around 3 years. Clearly, if the Commission is able to work faster than that, then people will clearly want answers as swiftly as possible. But final details about the timings will obviously need to be determined. I think we do need to make sure that we are both implementing the recommendations of previous inquiries and also making sure that we are pursuing these further investigations in local areas as swiftly as possible. And I do reiterate in my statement earlier the recognition of the huge harm that has been done to victims and survivors through decades, and I would urge him to look at that section of Louise Casey's report with the 17 pages of failure year after year after year to follow through and to take action. And I do believe that victims and survivors are owed an apology for that failure over very many years. are owed an apology for that failure over very many years.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government has been dragged kicking and screaming to deliver a national inquiry, having dismissed the pleas of a nation for one as jumping on a far-right bandwagon. This reluctance is why my honourable friend for Great Yarmouth will continue with his inquiry, and I will be supporting him in this. But can I ask the Home Secretary, will this government's inquiry investigate the political motivations behind the cover-ups, including the role of the Labour Party, or will this continue to be swept under the carpet?
What I say to the honourable member is I think everyone should want not just to get to the truth about past failures, but also to make sure that we make the changes to protect children for the future as well. That includes changes in social services, it includes changes in policing and the police operation that I hope that she would welcome to take action to put perpetrators behind bars, and also the action to gather proper ethnicity data, which simply has not been gathered properly before, and where Louise Casey's report is very clear. It is totally inadequate, the data gathering that her previous government left behind. So I hope she would agree to all of those being extremely important so that we can get stronger protection and truth for victims.